Welcome to the Universalist Unitarian Church of Halifax on this snowy March morning. My name is Mary Lou McDonald, and I'm your service leader for today. Marilyn Chenier is our service assistant. Reverend Norm Horofker is our minister. Jessica Friesen is our music director. Marie-Claude Leroux is our director of religious exploration. And this morning, Paul Galbraith is our volunteer tech director. If you are not receiving notifications from our church and you would like to receive updates on our activities and services, please send an email to minister@uuch.ca. Before the service begins, there are a few announcements. The order of service was sent out on UU Info yesterday. Please see the order of service for a complete list of announcements. Here are some highlights. Our minister, Reverend Norm Horofker, is on leave for a month. He will be back in the pulpit on March 27 for a special service with the UU Church in Bangor, Maine, celebrating the running of the maple sap in spring. This is a repeat of a very successful joint venture last year, and we're all looking forward to it. Church services, as of February 28th, we no longer require proof of vaccination for people attending church. We'll still be requiring masks and asking people to observe social distances as much as possible until March 21st, when all the restrictions will be lifted. We will maintain the Zoom and YouTube services for the foreseeable future. Team meetings this coming week. If you would like to attend one of these meetings, please contact the chair. All meetings can be joined online via Zoom. Climate Crisis meets Wednesday evening. The building team meets Thursday afternoon. And the weekly online gathering will be 7 o'clock on Thursday. The Saturday brunch. Our volunteers prepare a takeout brown bag lunch each week and have added an outdoor fire pit to roast hot dogs. All are welcome. The committee is hoping that by April, they will once again be doing an indoor hot brunch. To accomplish that, they're looking for a new team leader and more volunteers. Extra volunteers are also needed for a couple more Saturdays while Reverend Norm is away. This program is not funded from our budget, but by direct contributions from our members and friends. You can make a donation at any time via an e-transfer to treasurer@uuch.ca. or send your check directly to the church. There will be a work bee March 12th, next weekend, following the Saturday brunch. This is to clean up the main floor of the church in preparation for reopening. We hope to have 6 to 8 people volunteer for this. RSVP to Marilyn Chenier at eastlink.ca. And now Kath has a special announcement. Kath, you're on.
Well, folks, it's great to be back in the church. It's been a long time. Definitely different feeling than being online. I'm Kathy Anthony. I'm part of the endowment committee. The lead is Martha Wilson, so if you have any questions, please direct them to her. Included in the committee is Mia Ha and Alan Clark. And as of now, December 31st of 2021, we have over $120,000 in the endowment fund. And as of last year, 4 added names, George Marenfeld, Allison Shipman, Sandra Clark, and John Patterson. So Eileen Ross is also included on the list in 2015. She contributed So you can be alive to contribute. Along with myself and John Patterson is Mary Lou McDonald as well, who's contributed. So think of us and the continuation of our church. Thank you.
And now to Jessica for an announcement and the prelude.
So it's a time for our annual coffee house, a time where we come together, enjoy our own congregants' talent, including the after choir and other musicians in the community. This year, the Unitarian Universalist Society of Bangor may join in the celebration of music, poetry, and fellowship. So I have reached out to the after choir already, and you can contact me if you would like to participate as a volunteer or a performer. Depending on the COVID rules, I hope we'll come all together in person, but it will be on Zoom and YouTube as well. So this is coming up on Saturday, March 26th. It'll start at 7 p.m. And now I believe I'm doing the prelude. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna sing the song in person later, If Every Woman in the World, but I'm gonna do an instrumental version right now, and the words and the music are by Karen McKay.
And now Eleanor Reynolds has our land and climate change acknowledgement.
Good morning. I would like to acknowledge that we are in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. The Maliseet and the Mi'kmaq peoples have looked after these lands time forever. Now, today, we have massive climate disruption. Our water, air, trees, every being on this planet is being affected. I know and read about women who are working to change this dynamic. These are a few of these women. Greta Sunberg, a courageous young woman who has turned our world around. And speaking at the UN in New York, she quote, "How dare you? All you can talk about is money and fairy tales." She's also started Fridays for Future, which is another movement for young students. Maud Barlow, actually she's speaking on CBC this morning, a tireless Canadian worker, especially for water. She had water declared a human right at the United Nations. She helped found the Council of Canadians. Locally, the Canadian Voice of Women for Peace, a group of women committed to peace and disarmament. Kathy Kidjet from the Marshall Islands in the Pacific, halfway between Hawaii and the Philippines. A young mother, brilliant poet. Their home, their islands are in grave danger from sea rise. Mary Robinson, the first female president of Ireland, quote, "The world without the voice and vision of women is not less feminine, it is less human." A tireless worker for climate justice. Today, almost 80 years, she is still active. She's part of a group called the Elders, world leaders founded by Nelson Mandela. I salute the brave women of all the grassroots, women poor and rich. Our wayside public says, one planet, one people. Just a couple of things this week. One is March 8th. The International Women's Day has a Zoom from the Central Library from 9 to noon, and the speaker is Nathalie Baptiste. On the 12th, very important day, at the old library, Spring Garden Road, a just transition, it's called, sponsored by the Council of Canadians and 350.org, a day of action. And we will talk another time about the latest IPCC report, and it's very alarming. 2 or 3 weeks ago, two women, Tara Day and Taylor Owen, spoke to us about Halifax, which is a program by HRM on, they have 47 actions on it, and they're asking the council and 350.org are asking us to write to our councillors and speak what we want, tell them what we want, and I hope we'll have a few of those. And thanks a lot. Okay.
And now we begin our service, like most UU congregations, by lighting our chalice. Marilyn has words by Sylvie Naorama to read.
I hope most of you remember who Sylvie is. She's part of our Rwandan family, Sylvie and Clement, who we are waiting for and waiting. She has written, "We light this chalice for all the women of the world who stood up for women's rights. May their endless efforts not be in vain, but bear fruits for all generations. May this chalice be a symbol of our faith in a peaceful and safe existence for every woman and girl on earth, and in freedom from all that hinders their progress."
Thank you, Marilyn. Now Jessica will lead us in our opening hymn, number 121.
We'll build a land. The words are on the screen like always. Please sing along with me. We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land, and we come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like water born. Come to the land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may that create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Sing along. We'll be a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastation from old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold. Come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. Come to the land. Those words aren't on there, so I will sing it. Come build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak, where like oaks of righteousness stand her people. Oh, we'll build the land, my people we seek. Everyone, come build a land where sisters and brothers, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
Thank you, Jessica. And now Marie-Claude has a time for all ages.
Good morning, everyone. This week, I had a chance to meet with 3 incredible women who were born on the other side of the world, but have, through various challenges, made their way here. We'll hear from them later during the service, but I wanted to share one particular woman's words for our time for all ages. Elfinish Vude from Ethiopia shared a part of her mother's childhood and how those experiences shaped the hopes that her mother has had for her. To any child or youth that is watching, what surprises you the most about her words, and what makes you think of your own mother?
My name is Elfanash Zaude. I came from Ethiopia, which is in East Africa. I'll share my mom's story as an example. My mom still talks about it, how she was forcefully married my dad. She enjoyed school and wanted to continue her schooling, but her mom made her to marry when she was 14 years old. My dad sent elders to her parents to ask permission to marry their daughter. They agreed to that without even asking my mom. It's the parents' decision whom she can marry, the woman can marry, or when. So my mom didn't have any idea that she's going to get married. She became to know when there were people coming and cooking for a kind of a big event, and she wasn't sure what it is. So she asked, what's the occasion? What's going on? And then the response was to her that this is for her wedding. She was shocked, and she didn't want to do that. And she asked if she can study. She wants to continue her education, and they refused. Women, they shouldn't get married, like they shouldn't go to school. What you need to do that? You should have kids, have family. So they refused. So she got married when she was 14. And by age 16, she had her first child. It's surprising that my mom still talk about her situation, that she doesn't know who she's going to what the person she's going to marry, and she doesn't know even her wedding day. Nobody told her. And she has a huge fund for education. She wants to continue her education, but she couldn't do it. And then she still used to say, my grandma passed away now, but she used to say to my grandma, you sold me to a man, which I, and then I couldn't continue my study. And when she has children, actually, she start trying to study in the evening, go back to school in the evening, but she couldn't do it because there is a lot of responsibilities. So, and then she encouraged us to continue studying. She was like, no, you got to do, degree, you got to do your master's, you need to study, She's really encouraging us to get education. So I remember when I left the country, I was in Kenya for 2 years. That's when I met my husband. So I got married at early age too, when I was 18. So she wasn't accepting it. She wasn't happy. She wasn't happy. Why did you go to Kenya? I thought you're going to study. You don't need, not for man. She was very upset. So that much she encouraged us to go to education, to do our education. Yeah, participated in a women's movement a lot. She was the chair for the women's group, and she tried to make a difference. And she doesn't want the girls to go through what she has been gone through. So, which is really good. I'm so proud of her.
An incredible journey for both women.
We now come to a sacred time in our service to reflect on our joys and sorrows. A time set apart to honor the many sorrows and many joys that you, the members and friends of this congregation, are living, and to acknowledge the mutual support of our community. As always, we will light one candle for all those who are here with us or in our thoughts, who are struggling mentally, physically, financially, or emotionally. And we will also light one candle for all the joys in the room, the big joys that come along only infrequently, and the little joys that we are blessed by every day if we are able to see them. Today, we will also light one candle for all the women of the world. And I think we should light a candle for the people of Ukraine. And their many sorrows. Each week, we invite anyone who would like a candle lit to email us with the details. We didn't get any emails, so later when we stop the live streaming on YouTube and before the coffee hour, I will invite anyone else to share a joy or sorrow and have a candle lit if they would like to do so. May the joys and sorrows, both those acknowledged here this morning and those held in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, weave us together in the interdependent fabric of community. And our hymn of joys and sorrows, number 1026, If Every Woman in the World.
I also want to give credit to the woman who wrote verses 2 to 4, which is Nancy L. Nordley, and she also arranged this piece. holding hands up in the name of love, there will be no more. Everyone sing with me. If every nation in the world set a true course for freedom, if every nation raises children in a culture of peace, if all the sons and all the daughters reached in friendship across the waters, refusing to be at peace, there would be no more.
The reading this morning is actually a responsive reading. So when I read the line in between each verse, you can think about doing the same at home. That line is, "We are on this journey together." We were not born at the same time, and we will not die at the same time, and yet we are all here today. We are on this journey together. We are not from the same place, and we have not lived in or visited the same cities and countries, and yet we are here together today. We are on this journey together. We have not taken the same path, and we do not believe the same things, and we have not dreamed the same dreams, and yet our paths have led us here. We are on this journey together. We have our own lives, our diverse beliefs, our unique experiences, and yet we have chosen to be here together today. We are on this journey together. May we be grateful for this part of the journey we share.
Today's service is in honor of International Women's Day. I say honor and not celebrate, because sadly there is not much to celebrate when we think of equal rights for women. As Canadians, we tend to be absorbed in the problems of our own country and forget the international aspects of the fight for women's equality. In thinking about this service, I was influenced by the words of one female novelist, that the power of women is in the stories they can tell. When I read it first, I dismissed that as a superficial response to the world women live in, but I came to see it as an important element. So I asked Marilyn to consult with some of the women friends she has met through her refugee work. 3 of the women consented to tell their stories via Zoom. Marie-Claude did the filming and editing, and Marilyn will introduce each one.
And you've already met Elfinish Saudi, so she doesn't need much more introduction. Elfinish has been in Canada for 25 to 30 years, I believe, and has worked tirelessly over that time, bringing refugees to Canada from her homeland in Ethiopia. She was involved here with us and the Quakers pre-2015-16, the Syrian wave. So Andy knew her back in those days, and somewhere in there I met her, and I'm very proud to say she has become a dear friend. Elfinish.
So, as a girl growing up in Ethiopia, I have seen women experience extreme hardship throughout their lives, doing everything from carrying heavy loads over long distance, cooking, raising children, and working at home. They depend on man financially, and they do not have a say about money and don't entitled to the assets if they went through divorce. Even though divorce is a rare case, the woman has to accept and stay in most cases. If they have to leave, they have to go to their parent and their parents are not accepting them. They have to go back to their husband. So that's the situation they have been going through when I've seen women growing in Ethiopia. No right for women for decision-making ability regarding issues that affect the lives of families, the community, and even for the region. They have no saying for those kind of decision, like they can't make decision. The man is the one who make decisions. Women's inequality has been a norm. Many girls never get the opportunity to reach the secondary school, ending their education around grade 5 or 8. So it's a society believes that women, they shouldn't proceed their education. They may drop out due to sexual harassment and assault, and or their parents may need them at home to help them with cooking, taking care of the house. Or most parents forced the girls to get married at early age and have kids. They have far fewer opportunities for education, employment, and personal growth compared to men. So during that time, women are assumed to simply have no rights. After the regime change to kind of socialism, Marxism, Leninism, there were women's movements. I remember my mom was chairing the women's group and go out on the street for demonstration. I remember a group of women came to our house for meetings. At least they did create awareness during that time, and small change noticed afterward. People, you know, there is not much education and training, but there is awareness after a long time. I would say, however, deep-rooted culture against women's rights and inequality, I would say it took a long, long time to bring some change, especially in the city. There is a lot of change, I noticed, but some rural areas still there is an issue exist. So I'll do fast forward in year 2011. I believe women's rights was constituted in Ethiopia. In 2018, a few years back, the current government put more women in leadership position. So 50% of them are women still. The president, for example, I got a chance to meet her when I went to Ethiopia last month. And some ministers and the mayors of the capital city are women. Despite some success in empowering women, some issues still exist, as I said, in all areas of life, ranging from the cultural and the social to the economic, all that aspect. This is still the case in some tribes in rural areas. I believe it is hard to change, as I said, deep-rooted culture of men superiority. I would say in Ethiopia, there is a lot of work needs to be done in this area, especially there should be education and training by region in every area of the country. So I would say in the capital city of Addis, Ethiopia, there is a huge change. It's a huge improvement. And I have seen women taking leadership in the office, and there is employment equality I have seen. There is a lot of women and girls are working, which is a huge difference when I seen when I was grown up as a little girl. I'll share a couple of pictures from Afar region where there was one of the region which is affected by the war. The women that they are making their temporary house, it's called gojo. Say the women are the one who make those shelter, and the girls are little girls having kids still. They still that's early age marriage still exists in some area. So thank you so much, and then a happy International Women's Day to to the women and girls out there.
Thank you, Elfinish. Our next speaker has chosen just to record an audio piece, and her name is Nehruz Hamsho, who arrived here just over 3 years ago, and that same month married Naris Al-Thiab, who is part of our Syrian family that this church sponsored in 2015-2016. They are now expecting their first baby in May, so this is very exciting. Go ahead, please, Nehruz.
There are many women who are being forced into marriage at younger ages. They have got beaten or perhaps abused in their lifetime by bad people. Most frequently, women hurt or abused by people who are close to them. And women abuse occur in all cultures and races. It doesn't have any boundaries. But some governments don't protect these women, such as Middle Eastern governments, where men force girls to get married early at age of 14 and even less than that. These girls are not allowed to discuss or give any opinions. They don't have the right to refuse any decision, even if this decision hurts them or causes an awful emotional and physical pain. Also, some men abuse their wives by beating them, forcing them to have sex, and prevent them from working or continue studying. These men believe that the woman's role is to sit home and raise children, not more, not less. Moreover, if women get divorced, the society and people around her would start abusing her and force her again to get married to another man, whatever this man's situation, just to escape from people's fingers pointing at her. Unfortunately, if the divorced woman gets married again, she will lose her custody and get deprived of seeing her children. In my opinion, governments in the Middle East should create laws and regulations that help women and protect their human rights. A lot of work can be done by educating all the society, men or women, about the importance of mental and physical health of women. I'm originally from Syria. Yeah, I grew up in Syria, then we fled in Lebanon, then we came to Canada about 3 years ago.
3 years,
So,
okay.
yeah, it's a big change. We get the opportunity to have a peaceful place, good people, surrounded with all the rights we are seeking for. So we are lucky to be here for. It's hard to just sit about 25 years and grow up with different people, different culture, and then, yeah, it's a big change. It's very hard, yeah, but sometimes you make hard decisions just to keep going forward.
Thank you, Nehruz. Our third and last speaker is Zainab Shakib. Zainab is part of the Iraqi family who arrived here just last June. Some of you have met her sisters, Hind and Rand, who have helped out, and Zainab too has helped a bit with the Saturday brunch, preparing and serving. Zainab has a degree in law from Jordan, and now she will present.
So I was born in 1997. In that year, it was amid of the, they call it economic blockade in Iraq. So it wasn't easy on anyone, like seriously, especially my parents, when we're talking about my mom, you know, the food, the work, jobs, it was very hard for everyone. And I was a baby in that era, so it was really hard on everyone. So, except for me, because I was a baby, of course. So I was born in that era, and I grew up in really conflicted area until I was 6 years old. We left Iraq because when I was 6 years old, it was 2003. The time, you know, the American and the bombing and the real action started. So we flee Iraq. We left. We went to Yemen because my dad found a job there. It wasn't really easy because the country was really different, I would say. It wasn't really like, you know, open or civilized because it was really different from Iraq, especially, you know, Baghdad, when we were talking about, you know, the capital, it's kind of open. People are like more friendly. In Yemen, it was really different, especially for me because it was like my first year in school. So it was really, really different. And it was really like a poor area we lived in for the first 2 years. And then we kept moving, even in Yemen. We lived in like 3 cities, different cities. And then me and my mom and my sister, we flee to Jordan. We lived in Jordan for another 10 years. So it was like a really moving life I'm having. And since June 2021, we moved to Canada, and I'm here in Halifax. So I've been in almost 9 schools in my life and almost like more than 10 or 12 houses. So it's been a lot of moving in my life. So I think that's the meaning of being a refugee and, you know, not really stable person because, you know, we have to leave a lot. We're not finding job here. We're not finding a good place to live here. So that was kind of hard. In Yemen, I was really young, like 6 years old, but I've noticed a theme there that girls have to be in, let's say, specific like area and mind and, you know, even career path and life path. Like you have to be this girl, specific type of girls. Like you're probably going to get married on 18, maybe 17. It was kind of different on our Iraqi culture. We're not like that. So that was really different. And then when I moved to Jordan, it was kind of closer to our original culture because we're kind of close. But still, I've always noticed how misogyny is everywhere, especially when we're like working or you're doing, even when you're studying, it's always like, okay, so you did great on your grades. That's because you're cute, so that the teachers maybe give you more grades or something. That's always the idea. That's the bad thing. When a guy is doing good, he's like, okay, you're good because you're good. But when a girl do it, like you're good because maybe there's something pushing you, you know. So that's always everywhere. I believe it's everywhere in the whole world. It's not like in the Middle East, maybe in Iraq, maybe in Jordan. No, it's everywhere. But I believe it's something about Jordan, especially because I lived there for 10 years. There's a lot of misogyny, like horribly. Even like there is huge numbers in domestic violence, honor crimes, and like horrible stuff. That's happening also in Iraq. I'm not saying like it's not happening, but I've seen it in Jordan because, you know, I lived 10 years there. So I've seen it a lot. And also the misogyny is horrible because I've noticed it like personally in like college, and I've had some few working experience here and there, so I've noticed it personally. Like for a long time of my life, I wasn't with a guy because my dad wasn't always here. He was always far away, like working in other places, or obviously he's like, my dad and my mom are divorced, so I'm not living with my dad. So it's most of my life he wasn't here. So and I don't have brother or any type of men in my life. So it's kind of unsafe. It's always unsafe for a woman to be without a guy in the Middle East, because everyone is like, okay, so you don't have a dad, you don't have a brother, so who's like doing everything for you? And I'm just like, yeah, me. I'm doing everything for myself. I'm doing everything, like we're as a family, like me and my sisters are doing everything for each other. Like we don't need a guy. What is it like have to be like with a guy? And everyone is so confused. So it's also about safety. When we're talking about safety, yes, it's way better to have a guy. So I can maybe like, I would go places like I couldn't go because I'm a girl alone, and I would like maybe in the night I would, you know, get a walk or something because we can't do it. You're a girl, it's not safe for you. I also believe it's everywhere in the world, but in the Middle East it's kind of really serious. My mom is a cancer patient. She was a cancer patient when I was like 4 or 5 something years old. And that was brave, like a lot of bravery from her, because she was like very strong. She could she fought it, like she fought it easily, not easily probably. It was hard for her, but I couldn't, recognize that. And in 2019, that the cancer came back. So she's very strong. She's very like I believe she's in horrible pain, but she's acting like there's nothing wrong. So I really believe in her. Like she's amazing. That's true. And my sister also, like, even my 2 sisters were like really strong and fought a lot. Like they had their own struggles that they overcome it. And I'm really proud of everyone in my family, actually. So yeah.
There are many varieties of women in the world, and Jessica has an interlude from the inimitable Dolly Parton.
So many of you will know the song 9 to 5 and the movie 9 to 5, but the movie and song were actually inspired by a women's activist organization called 9 to 5. So later known as the National Association of Working Women, 9 to 5 was founded in 1973 by women who decided enough was enough. And this is an anthem for them, working women. Tumble out of bed and stumble in the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping, out in the streets the traffic starts jumping, but folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by. It's all taken and no giving. They just use their mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, for service and devotion. You would think that I would deserve a fair promotion. Want to move ahead, but the boss won't seem to let me. I swear sometimes that man is out to get me. They let you dream just to watch them shatter. You're just a step on the boss man's ladder, but you got dreams they'll never take away. In the same boat with a lot of your friends, wait for the day the ship will
And now Kayla Saunier has a reading for us.
Sheroes are like palm trees with deep roots, bending, not breaking, gaining strength by weathering sporadic storms, then shielding us from sunshine's moon glare. Beaming up at them, standing tall among indigo waves and sky. I know one thing to be true on this planet. Sheroes are permanently planted in my heart. Who are the sheroes in your life? Find them and thank them for being beacons of life in the sometimes stark, perplexing cosmos we occupy.
There will be a slide on the screen telling you where to send your money for this church and the support of all our programs. We're still hoping to get your support for the Brunch program, which is sadly lacking in money these days. We come here from many places and we have chosen to build a community together. Each of us gives and has already given a valued gift by being here. Let us now give a material gift to sustain the community to which we belong.
And now I will be singing the closing hymn. Hips swinging a safe road. I'd never heard of this until Marilyn told me. And it's by Carolyn McDade. And I will begin. Oh, and I've got some accompaniments. I have a bunch of instruments here.
A number of women in this congregation have worked with Carolyn McDade. So she's very close to a lot of our women.
There you go. And I'll sing her music. I might have messed that up, but you know, mistakes is what makes the service.
Thank you, Jessica, and her accompanists around the room.
It's just interesting that the last line is at home in our own homeland.
Yes.
When we've heard from all these women talking about their homelands.
Yeah.
As we extinguish our chalice, the words of the Reverend Gordon McKeeman. Remember that worship need not cease. It can echo in our lives, in our words, in our deeds, in our moods, in our dreams. Carry worship with you wherever you may go. Be a blessing in your going out and your coming in. So be it. Thank you all who attended the service today. We will say goodbye to those who joined us by YouTube now as we end our live streaming. For those who joined by Zoom, in a few minutes, we will return to sharing joys and sorrows, followed by our virtual coffee hour. Thank you again. The streaming service will now end.